Hi guys, we're here at Propeller Fest. We're in the VIP area, and I've come across.
Wait, I thought this was the shitty person area.
Oh well, you know. Hey, I'll exit this way. No, I'm here.
I didn't mean to be in the VIP area.
I know. I don't know how I got here. Hey, don't tell anyone. No, I'm here with James Altucher. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's such an honor to meet you.
Thank you.
Welcome to Propeller Fest. It's the first ever Propeller Fest, and the sun is shining. How are you finding it so far?
Oh my god, I'm wearing like this black sweater and the sun is shining. I wish it was like a little gloomy.
I know, right? It usually is in New York, but hey, they're turning it on today. So Aaron, you picked a good day. I have some things I'd love to ask you, and we've only got a few minutes, I know. Firstly, I'd love to know, what would you go back if you could speak to James 20 years ago, a greener, a more, raw James? What advice would you give him, other than not to wear a black sweater to Propeller Fest today?
No, I think I look good in black, so I
good with
still wear that. I wouldn't give him any advice because then where would he be? He might be dead.
Right.
Nobody can even give good advice to themselves right now.
Yeah.
Who am I to give advice to
True.
a younger version of me?
True.
Let him screw up in the way he did, and now I could end up here talking to you.
I don't think you need advice. Yeah, exactly. So I have another question for you. I'm just wondering, what is it today? I've been here the whole day. I don't know if you have, but what is it today that's really stood out to you?
I think that there's so many people who are interested in not just entrepreneurship, but making a change not only in their own lives, but figuring out how they can help and provide value to others.
Absolutely.
Because that's the essence of starting your own business and making money from that and so on.
Absolutely, so important. Now you have written, and I'm counting.
18.
18, wow. So tell me, what got you into the world of, writing and writing books? You're obviously, an amazing entrepreneur, but what got you into okay, now I want to give back and tell people, my experiences and advice?
When I was a little boy, 12 years old, I had a notebook and I would write down, Jane likes Mike. Mike likes Sally. And I was always kind of trying to write stories around it. So I've been writing her every day of my life since I was a little kid. So it's only in the past, let's say 15 years that I've been published, but I was writing every day, thousands of words a day forever.
Oh, I love it. So, okay, you started early. You got a few years on. You started when you were 10.
You know Coolio, the rapper?
Yeah.
So
I have heard of him.
So Coolio told me for 17 years he wrote every day until he finally had a hit. You gotta do stuff. I don't mean to say that you have to do stuff for 17 years, but you have to do stuff every day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's practice, right? It's like any craft. You keep at it till you perfect it and get better
and
at
just
it.
Building the discipline of doing something every day, rather than waiting for inspiration to come down and hit you, which it never does.
Yeah.
You kind of have to go out there and pursue inspiration.
Absolutely. I love that. Pursue it. Well, there's certainly a lot of people here today pursuing it and finding it. I have another quick question. What is a zeitgeist you're really into at the moment? What's really getting you excited?
Well, I think, you feel excitement in your chest, when you try a product and you're like, oh my God, this is it. I have to have more of this.
Yeah.
And I think not the only thing, but the main thing I see is kind of Internet Part 3. So there was Internet, there was mobile, and now Part 3 is about to happen, and that's with virtual reality.
Right,
so,
absolutely.
I mean, that almost sounds like a cliche, but it's the reality. It's the truth. It's the actual reality of virtual reality.
It's the actual reality. Look, I spoke to a guy today. I won't call it out. You will know who it is. When I asked him one question, which I will ask you in a moment, his favorite entrepreneur is someone that's actually in the VR world, in the porn industry, that's totally changing the game. In that world. Yeah, I know. Well, you have to watch my videos to find out. So I have two final but not least questions for you. Poker or roulette?
Poker, definitely. Poker's a skill game. Roulette's gambling. I don't gamble.
Okay.
I've been to casinos a million times. I've never once gambled, but I play poker.
Play poker. Okay, and then for you, I know you're an entrepreneur yourself, but who is one entrepreneur that really inspires you?
I don't know. Everybody inspires me. Anybody who is willing to try things and make other people's lives better. That's always inspirational.
Absolutely.
I can't say just because someone makes a spaceship that's going to be inspirational.
Hey, that's cool, but
it's cool, yeah, but I don't know. Everybody inspires me who tries.
I'm here with David Kiddo. David, you just got off the stage and you gave an incredible speech. Well done. It's such an honor to meet you. Tell me firstly, this is the first ever Propeller Fest. What's your stat? What do you think?
Well, you've won the lottery because the weather is outstanding,
Right.
and it's like a small South by. It's the first year of a South by here in New York, which is really exciting for the community. And Aaron's been a big part of that, forming that in Jersey and in New York. And this is a fantastic platform for the community here in Hoboken and the city. So
Aaron is awesome. He's done an incredible job, and it's really like there's music, there's bands, there's startups. It's all happening. Tell me a little bit about yourself, because I know that you won the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur Award in 2008. Since then, you've gone on to do amazing things. Tell us a little bit about your trajectory.
I jokingly say that I know a lot of the sort of Brad Pitts in the startup world,
nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you introduce me?
Yeah,
no, I'm just joking.
And I have like a Steve Buscemi career, so it's a great career. I've had a lot of fun. Some stuff works, some doesn't, but I'm still building. I have a company called Bionic now, about 30 people, and we're going into large organizations like GE, Citi, Nike, and others, and we're basically installing a growth operating system. And so we
like
have
a startup kind of mentality a little bit.
Yeah, tools, teams, to go after big opportunities in a new way.
Yes, absolutely.
And actually, we talk about this in the talk about getting the commercial truth. Like, how can you run experiments? How can you use data and decision architecture to actually get to the truth? Like, a lot of large companies really struggle with sort of breaking their bias about what's really happening, and we sort of solve for that.
Oh, it's fantastic. Well, you're doing brilliant work, and I know you're an active investor in, companies like SpaceX, and really at the forefront of, changing the way we travel into space and communicate in general. Tell me a little bit, like, who here today, have you even had a chance? I know when you're a speaker, you barely get a chance, but has there been any startups, if you can call them out, that you've noticed today or you've come into contact where you're like, wow?
Yeah, to be totally candid, I just got off a plane this morning.
Okay, yeah.
I was at board meeting all morning. I literally walked over, so I have not yet seen those.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed Lewis's talk prior to this about the idea of quitting weaknesses and only focusing on strengths. He had some fantastic statistics around ultra high net worth individuals and their view of what they're good at.
Right.
Sort of you go from sort of like middle class earners to the ultra high net worth. The number of things those people think they're good at actually collapses from many to few. In fact, most of the ones who, like entrepreneurs who get good at something, they typically think they're only good at one thing. And there's a really good lesson, which is at some point, when you're building companies and you're building your careers, you should stop fixing yourself and do something that's truly in your proprietary giftedness.
Oh, I like that. Focus on what you're really good at, right?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, I love that. So I have two questions, last but not least. Roulette or poker?
Poker.
Poker, okay.
Yes.
And you're an entrepreneur yourself, but are there any entrepreneurs out there that really inspire you?
Well, I've invested in this company called Wealthy, and Lindsay Rosner is basically building a care coordination platform for people who deal with distance in serving their parents in illness or relatives.
Fantastic.
I just think that is such a purpose-driven company, but not only her own story, but also what it's doing for others. So I talked at the end in my keynote about greeting what is good and the power in that, and she's a perfect example of someone who lives that out. And I think most of the larger successes typically have a quality in the world where they're delivering extraordinarily, often an order of magnitude greater impact than they take.
Right.
I think it's a very important thing, sort of the ratio of impact to sort of receipt. That has to be in the entrepreneur's heart and mind when they build.
Absolutely, and you realize that as you go through success.
That's so difficult to solve for is the truth, is the commercial truth. And how do you actually get to the truth with customers in such a way that you want to bet your life on it? Very often, and I'm guilty of this, and so one of my first company was, I wanted something to be true about my customer behavior, the outcome I was driving to, that simply wasn't true. And what you learn is, when you're doing your CEO for the first time, if it's not true to you, the CEO, it's very rarely true to your team, and it's never true to the customer. And it's sort of like it's an axle that everything rotates around. But when it is true, when you're dealing with commercial truth, when you're dealing with customers who behave in a way that produces an upward spiral, it's true to the team, and it's true to the marketplace, and it leads to extraordinary outcomes. In that context, wishful thinking is the enemy. Wilson, one of my big investors, my last company, often said that the job of a startup CEO is very simple. It's three things. One is vision, and you have to be right. Two is talent, And at least your first 20 employees, you cannot make a mistake. It's a total fatal outcome. And the third is never run out of money. As you're building these companies through these lenses, the predicting the chasm job of the CEO becomes incredibly important. And so your ability to stay objective, your ability to drive a truth, the ability to test and experiment to lead to those decisions becomes an incredibly critical aspect of success. I mentioned this before, but this is from Elon Musk. I'm an early stage investor in SpaceX and Palantir and other companies backed by Peter Thiel, who's one of our investors in the last company. And they always talked about the idea that this risk, the wishful thinking risk, what we hope would be true as an ideal state, is a massive risk for entrepreneurs that these are sort of be undone. We have to have a radically candid conversation with ourselves, with our founders, with our teams, to make sure we're driving towards things that we are willing to bet our life on. To do that, we need to look at evidence that is what customers do versus what they say. Very often you can go to your relatives and friends and even do the classic sort of voice of customer research on your idea, and customers will tell you that they're willing to do something, that they love your idea, your investors, friends. But the reality is that we can only bank on things that they actually do, the behaviors we want to do. So we want to set up experiments, we want to set up environments that lead to behaviors, because very often customers can't tell you because they don't know. There's it's this kind of famous Steve Jobs axiom about he doesn't listen to his customer because they don't know what type of experience they want. We can only show them, and that's where the whole concept of MVP comes through. Happy to answer any questions about this. This is an amazing personal journey. It was one that was required for me. I made some good decisions in building companies and some that struggled. But these lenses have been transformative for not only my new startup, but also the companies that we work with. So hopefully it's helpful. Thanks.
I called up my mom the next day, and I was all upset. All this bad stuff was happening to me. And she's like, wait a second. You did what? And I said, I wrote this. I was so pathetic. I wrote this ad that I was a psychic. And all these people wrote to me, and I started all these dialogues. And so my mom asked what any concerned Jewish mother would ask her son. Did you fuck any of them? And I said, Mom, no. You look at me. You created me. Of course, this situation did not do that. But what happened was I was literally on the floor. And I couldn't figure out what to do. I lost all my money. I had nothing. I had 2 children to support. And I didn't know what was going to happen in my life. And you can't just come up with ideas and start making money. You can't even get a job when you're in a situation like that. You're depressed. So I kind of said to myself, you know what? This is like the 10th time this has happened. Not the first or the second or the third. Like, how could this be happening to me again? You ever had that feeling, like, raise your hand on the street, you ever had that feeling, that exact words in your mouth, in your mind? How can this happen to me again? Okay, you people over there are lying, but you guys are okay. It's happened to everybody. So I'm thinking this, and I said to myself, okay, what always was working for me on the way up, and what was always working for me on the way down? And so many things kind of came to mind, and it's almost like a cliche. Like, that's why I hate self-help books or self-help courses or anything like that. I no offense to anybody who charges $50,000 for their self-help course, but it's so simple. What was working for me on the way up, I started doing what I call my daily practice. So I started every day trying to improve 1% physically, meaning I would sleep 8 hours a day, I would try to eat well, and I would try to exercise. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Emotional, every day I would try to get rid of toxic people in my life and improve my relationships with people who are good to me. And by the way, people don't get a second chance. If someone's toxic, they're in the penalty box. If they're toxic again, they're out. Third thing is mental. So people don't realize this. The brain has all this what's called plasticity. Your brain moves around depending on how you use it. Like your neurons move around. So if you have an accident, a bike accident, and you're in bed for 2 weeks or even a month, you can't walk. Your leg muscles atrophy so fast that you need physical therapy to walk again. Well, when's the last time you exercised your idea muscle? So what I realized for myself was my idea muscle had totally atrophied. So I took a waiter's pad and I would write down 10 ideas a day, 10 bad ideas a day.